Buddy boosts the Bahamas. The Buddy Healed impact has only scratched the surface. ZNS News, the only station at the Final Four. Also, the IDB conference starts in just a few hours. What does the conference mean for the Bahamas? And then, the Constitution Commission makes sure everyone knows what's going on ahead of the referendum. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report, starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
The countdown is on to a major conference which attracts financial experts from around the world. Good Wednesday evening, Bahamas. I'm Altaviz Munnings.
I'm Kishla Adderley. Thanks for joining us tonight. Topping the news, delegates are assembling in the capital for a power meeting put on by the Inter-American Development Bank. The financial experts will focus on a number of areas, including the economic potential of the Caribbean and a sustainable vision plan for the city of Nassau.
Well, this year's conference being held at the Bahamas Convention Center in Western New Providence is set to be a win-win for the country, as it marks the first time in 25 years this meeting is being held in the Caribbean, and the first time the annual meeting is being held right here in the Bahamas. Clint Watson has this overview.
The Inter-American Development Bank is an international agency established in 1959, providing financial and technical support to 26 Latin American and Caribbean countries. They are the leading source of development financing for Latin America and the Caribbean, currently providing loans and technical support for more than 600 projects, inclusive of projects currently being executed in the Bahamas. Earlier this year, the government passed 2 resolutions to borrow more than $50 million from the IDB. They include a $20 million citizen security loan earmarked for a project that will not only create jobs, but will facilitate the training of participants, and $33 million to increase efficiency in the use of public resources and to establish a public financial management and performance monitoring reform program. More than 3,000 will participate in meetings which begin on Thursday with various seminars, inclusive of an intentional focus on youth development. The Young Entrepreneurs event hosted by the president of the IDB involves youth representatives from the various countries. The meetings officially begin with the inaugural session, which features remarks from the President of the IDB and Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, slated for Saturday. The other official sessions include meetings of the heads of delegation and the committee of the boards of IDB and Inter-American Investment Corporation, a special governors meeting, and other plenary sessions. The governors of the members countries of the IDB are also expected to make presentations on the economic programs of their countries. This year, the IDB will break the paradigm that innovation is mostly attributed to young and higher income people and showcase innovators and entrepreneurs of all ages and all walks of life. The forum will feature innovations that range from addressing mosquito-transmitted illnesses to improving hearing to providing transportation alternatives in the region. Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.
Yesterday, health officials ruled out Ebola in the death of a 51-year-old woman, Patty Miller. The youth officer left the capital for South Africa March 6th and returned on the 13th. 10 days later, she was taken to the emergency section of the Princess Margaret Hospital, where she was carefully examined. And at that time, doctors had said that Ebola was an unlikely diagnosis. Health officials also said at that time that all standard protocols, including the necessary protective measures in keeping with international guidelines, were followed. But yesterday, executives of the Public Hospitals Authority were questioned on their response to the suspicious disease after it was alleged that protocol may have been breached during quarantine.
I really want to seize the opportunity to commend the fine work of the professionals within our Princess Margaret Hospital. They did an outstanding job. At the end of the day, they followed to the letter the protocols in order to have this specimen taken out of the country and have it tested. So we are very pleased with the work of our fine team.
In other news tonight, Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Bradley Roberts has been served a writ by attorneys for Zach Bacon, Fred Smith QC, and the Coalition to Protect Clifton Bay, barring him from disclosing any information contained in Leak Save the Bay's documents, details of which revealed in the House of Assembly last month. The injunction that expired at 11 a.m. today says Roberts, quote, must not procure, incite, aid, abet, instruct, or encourage any other person to do any of the following: publish or communicate or disclose to any other person, or continue to publish, communicate, or disclose to any other person all or any part of the information other than 1. By way of disclosure to legal advisors instructed in relation to these proceedings, the defendant's legal advisors, for the purpose of obtaining legal advice in relation to these proceedings, or 2, for the purpose of carrying this order into effect, end quote. Roberts received the writ March 21st, dated March 21st from the Harry B. Sands, Lebowski and Company chambers, and says it makes no sense because it is addressed to no one in particular.
In all my years, a little bit of legal training that I have, when you issue a writ, it has to name the persons. And this is supposedly an injunction order, and the order was to injunct us from doing to who the blank was from doing certain things. It seemed to me this is a waste of the court's time. It is stamped by the Supreme Court, and as I understand the procedure, it's merely the clerk stamping the date on it and so forth, that the public judge hasn't even had a look at this. It's just absolutely extraordinary.
Mr. Roberts says he understands that the Member of Parliament for Marathon, the Honorable Jerome Fitzgerald, also received a writ Wednesday morning. He previously revealed details of confidential Save the Base emails in the House of Assembly and charged that the group was attempting to destabilize government. Tall Pines Member of Parliament Leslie Miller also revealed that 5 Save the Bays members earn more than $740,000 per year. Mr. Roberts questioned why he was brought into the matter and says he finds it amazing that Smith and Save the Bays, who advocated heavily for a Freedom of Information Act, are now trying to prevent information from getting out.
I had absolutely nothing to do with this. I am only the humble, barefoot chairman of the Progressive Liberal Party. Now they are caught up information in a so-called organization that they say to do with the environment, but they want to suppress the information that has become known to certain individuals. It is the most extraordinary thing. It seems as though Freedom of the Information Act only works one way, not two ways. Life has to be a two-way street, not a one-way street.
In other news tonight, the man accused of killing a woman on election night back in May of 2012 is now free after prosecutors dropped the case against him today. Jurors were prepared to hear evidence in the case, but Justice Vera Watkins discharged the panel after prosecutors entered a nolle prosequi, which means they will no longer prosecute. The defendant, Jeffrey Hepburn, was accused of killing 42-year-old Bridget Williams during an altercation between 2 warring gangs. However, he was also discharged by the court. At the same time, Justice Vera Watkins told Hepburn that the Attorney General can charge him again with the same crime in the future. It's unclear this time why the Attorney General decided to discontinue the case against Hepburn. A judge has ruled that he will accept the jury's verdict in the murder case of Patrick Hito Rose and Rashad Sullivan. The duo was charged with killing Dario China Knowles, the son of the late Dion Emperor Knowles. However, jurors convicted them last December of conspiracy to commit murder instead. The convict's sentencing was then delayed due to a legal challenge mounted by the defense. That's because jurors were unable to reach a unanimous verdict, returning a 10-2 decision, which meant it was a hung jury. Now, during today's proceedings, Justice Turner ruled that he will accept their verdict for conspiracy to commit murder. The matter was adjourned to May 18th for submissions on sentencing. Darrell Taylor prosecuted that case.
If you know of a crime, please call Crime Stoppers at 328-8477, toll free 242-300-8477. You can also check them out on www.crimestoppersbahamas.com. Let's stop the crime before it's your time.